Hello and welcome to the Wheel of Crime podcast. This podcast is run by two ladies who play games, mumble profanities, or shout them I should say, and laugh way too often. Also, this podcast does cover topics of sensitive nature, and as such, listener discretion is advised.
Yes, hello, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Wheel of Crime podcast. I know, I can't believe we're still doing this either.
Right? I know. It comes back to me every now and again where I'm like, holy, 2018 was like a lifetime ago now. So much has changed since then.
I know. I think this is the thing I've done the longest in my life.
Me too.
I'm more committed to this podcast than anything, apparently.
Apparently. Well, and too, I think for us both, it's like we've picked up in the meantime, like, what, miscellaneous random hobbies, and none of them stick. Just our little pod. I think it's because we get to do it together.
It's just because I like chatting with you. Like, it's my excuse to chat with you every week, and I'm not giving that up.
This is what I'm saying. And then we get to tell each other cool things and learn more about each other. It's a whole party.
Exactly. And you all four of you are just here along for the ride.
Pretty much. We love you guys, though. We love all four of you. You make our dreams come true.
Love you, Mom, Dad, Emily's mom, Emily's sister.
Dad. Yeah, you're right. My dad wasn't going to be my sisters. Just the one, though. Thank you, Natalie. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think about what happened last week that's, like, cool to share on the podcast, but I'm really trying to get into I know we've talked about this before, but I really am trying to get into the more summer feeling now that the weather's nice again. I bought a fishing rod. I do not know how to fish. I will learn how to fish, I've decided, by the end of this year. I souped up my garden, and then it cooked because it was so hot outside, so half my plants are fried, which is awesome. Awesome. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much more or less how my life's been going. What about you, Jen? Have you done anything fun?
Just working, but I'm starting my tennis lessons soon. I can't wait to be a cool tennis girl, you know. I got another tennis outfit, obviously, because one was not enough, you know. Which, by the way,
I was thinking, so because you're getting into tennis, and when you're done your lessons, you'll be an expert. You should come to my house.
Yes.
Because there's a tennis court, and I don't know how to play tennis, and you can teach me how to play tennis.
Oh my god, you need a cute tennis outfit and we can play tennis together on the lake.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh my god, I love this. And then we can get photos and videos. This is my new
aspiration.
Yeah, we can get photos and videos of ourselves playing tennis at the lake because duh, right?
Oh, like such cool girls.
Just the coolest. I can't wait. So I'm very excited for you to do that. I don't have courses that I've signed up for because literally how the fuck would I find the time for that right now? I'm still trying to purge my house in my off time and do my crazy millions of other things that I get up to. But hopefully, things will relax soon. I'm praying, I'm hoping, I'm wishing, I'm manifesting. So we'll see where that gets us, right?
Love it.
Love it! Well, I mean, that's pretty much more or less with us. I feel like last week we kind of held you guys hostage with all of our conversations. So today we'll get into our wheel of questions, I think, a little faster than we normally do, because whoops.
Yeah.
But with that, let's spin our wheel of questions, shall we?
Spin away.
Number 1.
If you had to enlist in either the military, Air Force, or the Navy, which would you choose?
So here's the thing for our listeners. I used to, how do I phrase this without sounding like a total lame ass?
There's no way.
Partake in military-esque activities and operations as a teenager. And
It's true.
I've got a little bit of insight into those fields. Knowing that, I would... So here's the thing. If you want to be super busy and unappreciated, you would choose the Army. That's also where a lot of sketchy people go. If you are somebody who's smart and wants to be busy, but not busy all the time, you'd pick the Air Force. If you don't want to be busy ever, you pick the Navy.
See, me knowing nothing, I would pick the Air Force mainly because I want to get my pilot's license and do that one day. So I feel like that's just like more my vibe.
I think, honestly, for myself, knowing myself, would I be tempted towards the Navy because the idea of, you know, doing something, whatever, sure. But I'm also, I've learned this about myself, not super comfy with water. Like, I live by a lake. That's freaky too. Like, I get that it's not like the deepest lake on earth. But I don't like the idea of things being under my feet and I can't see them. The ocean, especially. Whoa, that's crazy. So.
Yeah, you would just be in the ocean all the time.
Literally. So, with that, I would probably choose the Air Force because of the reasons I just said. And also because, you know, Army stuff is fine. It's whatever, but, you know.
How come when you were doing all that stuff as a teen, you didn't choose to go in, like, the Air Force lane?
Because as a teenager, the connotations are a little bit different. So that has to do with, like, the actual military faction of the government, what I just told you. What I was a part of, it's more like, yeah, Army's still very, like, grunt. Like, there's not you don't exactly have to be a kind of person to be in there. It's just kind of like, it's more, I guess, rustic, you could say. Whereas, like, with piloting, a lot of people who were very smart kind of got pushed more towards that side of things. So, like, I was told at some point, you know, that I could do that or, you know, those different things. But you're also kind of seen as being, like, a super nerd. Which at the time I was like, I've done enough. Thank you. I feel like I've already earned that title. I don't need to make things worse.
Fair.
And then the Navy at the time was seen more as like if you were loyal but not very intelligent, that would be where you go. And I said, no, thank you.
So harsh.
Well, I'm trying to be polite, but there was definitely, like, a lot of stereotyping, like, if you worked in Navy operations, that basically meant that you ate glue. Like, if the military people and the pilot people are busy fighting each other about who's better or whatever, then it's just the Navy person in the corner with their eyes going in different directions, eating glue.
Oh my god.
And that was kind of the stereotype. So I was like, I would rather stay as far away from whatever that is as possible. Even if it's not true, I don't need it. I'm good.
Yeah, that's fair. Knowing me, and because I feel like you know more about all this stuff than I do, which faction of, like, real military do you think I would fit into?
Oh, yeah, easy. Air Force.
Why?
Well, because you're somebody who is smart, right?
Aww.
But then you're also somebody who is ambitious and wants to stay busy. So that would be the only area that would satisfy those two parts of you. Right?
Okay. I love that we would be in the Air Force together.
Yeah, good for us. Yeah, a little weird Gen Z heart. Wait. Together.
Together forever.
All right, should we spin for our next question?
Yes.
Number 2.
Did you know when we graduated high school, did you have a strong feeling about your direction in life?
Nope. Jen and I are very different in this way. Jen, I know what you're going to say, had very strong inclinations to certain things in life and certain accomplishments that she wanted to make. I was just happy to be alive at that point, and more so than anything, just wanted to be happy. I was like, I could care less what I end up doing. I just want to be happy. I don't know. Whatever that means, I guess.
That's fair. I feel like I had such high standards for myself at the time, and, like, I feel like I haven't done, like, my life has not gone, like, exactly where I thought it would. like career wise, I've kind of gone in this like zigzag line to kind of get where eventually want to go.
For you, I wouldn't say it's that you didn't attain your goals. I would say that the older you got and the more you learned about yourself, they just changed.
The goals just kind of changed.
Yeah, so it's not like, you know, having high standards or whatever. It's just at the time, that's just kind of what you were working towards. And then as you do more things, you're like, oh, maybe I want to do this. And then you meet people and you learn things and you're like, maybe I want to do this now. So, I don't know. I would say that you've achieved pretty high standards for yourself as of today.
I feel differently, but maybe that's because I'm just very critical.
Well, you
of
are
myself.
a very, very big self-critic. So I would say, as somebody who's known you for a long time and is not living in your head, that in my opinion, I think that you've achieved a lot. And I am very proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I'm just going to go cry in a corner now.
Yeah. No, it's good. I can't look at myself too much, though, for that stuff, because then I get all weird about things, too. So it's easier to look out in versus just looking in.
100%.
Right? All right, let's spin for our next question.
Okay.
Number 3.
Do you think that you liked what was popular when you were a teenager, or do you think that you kind of always veered towards like the beaten path?
I think not even as a teenager, that's just a life thing for me. Like, some things that are popular, sure, I'll get on board with it, but I don't live my life doing the full path of whatever people are into. I feel like you would agree with that. Like, especially when we were teenagers, I feel like there was always what was popular, what was going on, and I was just kind of like, I don't really like that, so I'm going to go do this thing instead.
100%. I think you have always been a lot more individualistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like you are just doing your own thing 100% of the time, whether it's, like, popular or not.
Right? That's what I mean, though. It's not to say that I don't like certain popular things. Like, I won't lie to you.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a Labubu on my purse. I cannot be controlled. However, I don't do everything. It kind of is, it's very like, oh, like, does this speak to me or not? Like, I don't know. I'm not a trend follower, I guess I would say. Well, what would you say about yourself, though? Do you feel like you kind of, like, go along with trends a lot, or that you stay in the know on, like, what's, like, what most people are interested in, or you just kind of do your own thing? I feel like you do your own thing, but I'm interested to see what you have to say.
See, I feel like when we were teenagers, I was trying really hard to be a trend follower and be very, teenager? Like...
100%, yeah.
With the times. I think as I've gotten older and developed a little bit more confidence in myself, I've definitely kind of let go of that. Like, I'll still, like you said, follow certain trends. Obviously, I'm at the end of the day just a girl who's very easily influenced.
Yeah. I do have access to the internet, so
yeah, so like it's not avoidable.
Yeah.
But I feel like I, for the most part, just do what I want, whether it's cool or not. And half the time, it's usually not.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too. Like, looking back on when we were teenagers, I do remember that you were kind of my link to whatever was popular in media at the time, because I had not a fucking clue in the world. You'd be like, oh, did you hear about this? And I'm like, nope. Tell me everything. Lay it on me, sister. What's going on? And I'd be like, oh, do you know about this thing? And you'd be like, no.
I feel like as a teenager, you cared so little about what was trending. It was hilarious because you were like, everyone was watching like Jersey Shore and you were like, Murdoch Mysteries and me are besties.
Yeah, and I'm still the exact same person, don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah.
Like, if I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll be like, oh, it's time to turn on Murdoch Mysteries.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You were the only person keeping that show going.
I know. It's still running, dude, and I stopped watching.
I know.
It's everybody else's grandma who's keeping that shit going now. But no, it is like you said, it's funny to look back on, and then I always wonder, or there's things come up now, and then people are like, oh god, like you act like such an old lady. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then I think about stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I think it comes naturally, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It do be like that. You keep me young, so that's fine.
It is what it is. That's why we're besties.
So then I'm trying to think. We have one more question, right?
Yes, one more.
All right, let's spin for it. All right, what is it?
Do you think as a teenager you fell in with the quote-unquote right kind of kids? Like, you had the right kind of friends?
I mean, it was just you, so I would say yeah, but...
Well, would your parents say that?
No. My parents, though, had a very different inclination, I think, in that sense. They
About me?
They want me to be surrounded, I think, with more Catholic-veering folk.
Our parents went to the same church growing up.
I don't know what to tell you. But I'm trying to think. I don't know. I feel like if they're like, as far as like our other friends go, or friends that I had that you didn't share with me, or like that kind of thing. I don't know. Like, I didn't go to high school parties, so I feel like it went fine for me. You, on the other hand. Do you feel like you fell in with the right crowd?
Yes and no. I feel like there was different phases of like my adolescence where I had better friends than others. Like, I feel like I had a lot of different friend groups throughout like middle school, high school. Like, I kind of hopped around a lot. I don't know. But I think that's because in middle school we just had such shitty friends.
I was going to say, rough beginnings as far as like early teenagehood goes. When I'm thinking teenager, though, I usually place myself in like high school, which I feel like it was just okay. Like, I wouldn't say that they were either like really super good or really super bad. It was just kind of like, meh.
I feel like there was like a moment there in like early high school where I kind of was with a rougher crowd of kids who were like into like different things that like I was not really a part of.
Shots.
I'm saying more like drug related.
Oh,
like,
yeah, well, absolutely.
Which I did not partake in, but
that's
there
just
was
party
definitely
culture,
like a
though.
moment.
Yeah.
It is, right? Like, I don't know. But I feel like I've always been weirdly very much a rule follower in like that sense where I'm like, it's illegal. I will not partake.
No, that's fair. When I was in my own party phase, like once we were young adults, like 18, 19, I was also the same way where I was like, I might drink all the time, but you're never going to catch me doing anything else.
I don't know what that was probably Catholic guilt or something. I don't know.
It's guilt of a kind. Absolutely. Watch it be guilt from my own parents on the two of us because we grew up together. You're like, I can't.
Probably.
Emily's dad's going to be mad at me if I do that.
I'm sure it was a thought that crossed my mind.
Absolutely. You'd be like, I can never come over again. I'll be banished.
He's going to find out.
Yeah, they're going to know. They're going to smell it on me and they'll know.
They'll know.
Right? Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, I'm gonna guess that your story is, some guy in high school is kind of a weirdo, and then after high school, he joins the military and fucks some shit up.
I mean, kinda. You're not, like, completely wrong.
Okay, cool. That never happened.
I feel like the essence of the beginning of the tale.
Okay.
Okay, so as you may have heard, the fourth and final Conjuring movie is coming out in September. And in general, I've liked most of the franchise's movies, even though the real Ed and Lorraine are pretty controversial.
Yeah.
However, I thought it might be fun to cover some of their most infamous cases. I know you've covered Annabelle. I've covered the Devil Made Me Do It case. But there's like tons of cases that we haven't even touched before.
Yeah. So I was going to say, yeah, with Ed and Lorraine, because that's kind of a weird mid-territory for you and I, because you do more of like the up-to-date crime stuff, and I do more of like the folklore and what have you, but they are a very weird center ground, like, which, like you said, is very controversial depending on, I guess, the who's its and the what's its, but I am interested to see what you tell me today.
I mean, yeah, because a lot of people think like there's like the camp of people who like are intrigued by their work. There's the camp of people who think that they were like grifters. There's the camp of people who like support them. So like very like mixed opinions on these two. But I feel like I'm in the camp of like I just find it interesting.
That's my camp too.
So we're going to talk about it. Yeah. But today, without further ado, let's talk about the Smurl family haunting, which is the case that the newest movie is going to be about. So.
Ooh, okay. This is neat. I like this.
I thought it would be a fun little starting point.
Ooh la la.
Okay, so John James Smurl was born on December 19th, 1942 in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania to his parents Mary and John Smurl. Jack's father worked as a welder for a steel company and his mom stayed at home. Jack attended high school at St. Mary's and was said to enjoy his time in school, but when graduation came in 1959, he wasn't super enthusiastic about going to college. After school, Jack would occasionally go check out offices where various branches of military kept recruiters, and one day he came home with the news that he was going to enlist in the Navy. According to his family, while working for the Navy, Jack worked hard, obeyed orders, and made quote-unquote the right kind of friends, which to Jack meant avoiding troublemakers and chronic complainers. So he wouldn't like me because I'm a complainer.
I was going to say, he would not talk to either of us. That's all I do, I think.
Oh, we're cut. We're not making the Christmas card list.
I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So his service occupation while enlisted was as a neuropsychiatric technician assisting doctors with electroshock treatment, which is pretty controversial.
And for good
reason. To this day.
Yeah.
Yes, for this day. But while in the Navy, they were using this treatment on fellow Navy people, I assume. Navyists, enlistees, cadets, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
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 That's Navyettes. That's what I'm going to call them.
Sure. I'm trying to think in my head on what they would be called, but I think it's honestly just the Navy.
Cadets.
Yeah, enlistees, I guess would be the other one. New recruits.
Yeah. Anyways, Navyettes is what I'll coin them as. So they use the treatment to try and help them with patients' symptoms of depression or to reduce suicidal tendencies. Allegedly, Jack saw how many men were helped by the treatments, which is
interesting.
That's his opinion.
Yeah.
That's his opinion.
Yep.
It's just his opinion.
Yeah.
Which was one reason he took such pride in his job. However, despite enjoying the work that he did, he eventually got homesick for the mining county of Pennsylvania. So during Jack's tenure in the Navy, a girl named Janet Demoski was attending public high school in Duryea near West Pittston. Janet was described by family as a pretty girl given a somewhat intellectual look by her large oval glasses. She was said to like nature walks, gossiping, and all the things most of her peers did, though she had no interest in the drugs or promiscuity favored by the hippie movement, the sweeping social revolution that was then forming. So she's just a good Catholic girl.
Yeah.
Kind of nerdy.
Yeah. Sounds like she might have been friends with us, actually.
Yeah. Was it you, Emily?
Yeah, it was actually just me. Jokes,
oh,
guys.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I mean, she likes nature walks and gossiping. That
is me.
Describes
yeah.
teenage Emily.
Oh, easy.
So, raised by her mother after a difficult divorce, her mother was a senior citizen affairs director for a retirement home. Because she had a working mom, Janet was expected to help out with the duties of a lady at home. And during her junior and senior years of high school, she considered many different career options for herself, but societal and religious standards of the time caught up to her, and motherhood became her focus. So the night of Janet's graduation, she celebrated along with other students, feeling happy and eager to see what life held for her. Shortly thereafter, Janet went to work in the packaging department of a local confectionery company, and it just so happened that Jack was working at the same company after he finished his time with the Navy. So for Jack, life had not been better. This was like peak time. He had his job at the company, which promised good promotions and higher salaries. His health was good. He had a lot of friends. He enjoyed going out and watching sports and getting beers with the boys. For him, the only thing that was missing in this awesome life he was living was a barefoot and pregnant wife at home.
Yeah. So are there something about specifically the image of barefoot and pregnant that just, I don't know what that is. That
triggers me?
Yeah, it's scary. I'm like, why isn't she allowed to have shoes?
Put the dogs away, girl.
Girl, you're allowed.
Put them away.
It's okay, size up. Get some slippers. It's fine.
Oh, jeez. Oof. So, at the company holiday party in 1967, Jack laid eyes on his coworker Janet, and a year later, on December 28th, 1968, the two were happily married. The first years of their marriage were especially pleasant ones for Jack and Janet. Their first two daughters, Dawn and Kim, came along, and Janet gave up her job and became a full-time housewife. And Jack found himself progressing in terms of both pay and prestige at the company where he worked. They lived with Jack's parents, John and Mary. But in 1972, Hurricane Agnes invaded northeastern Pennsylvania, and the house where the two families lived was flooded with 12 feet of water. Though John and Mary had just renovated the house, the local redevelopment authority took it over and forced them to move. It was then that John and Mary bought a duplex on Chase Street in West Pinson, a nearby town of 10,000 people, for $18,000 in the fall of 1973. And my God, I wish I could buy a fucking 2 halves of a duplex for that price today.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Not today, though.
Nope. Nope. That's like not even a down payment.
Not even. Barely. Barely not even.
So, at the time they purchased the home, John and Mary didn't know much about the previous occupants, except that one side was owned by an elderly man and had been vacant for several years, and the other side was owned by an elderly woman who had rented it to tenants. They made all the appropriate checks on the house plumbing, lighting, foundation, termites, liens, and found everything in order. In the fall of 1973, they moved in and ended up selling the other half of the duplex to Jack and Janet for a price far below market value for $4,000.
Oh, okay.
Can you imagine owning a duplex for $4,000?
No.
Like, what a dream.
Maybe a dollhouse.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. Even those, I think, are more expensive.
Literally.
Yeah.
So Jack and Janet packed up their kids and moved into the northern half of the duplex on October 1st, 1973. Life in West Pinson was even better than their previous married years had been. Janet became active in the community and helped form the West Pinson Lioness Club, serving as its first president. She was also one of the organizers of a local chapter of Students Against Drunk Driving at the Wyoming area high school. Jack and Janet participated together in community activities as well. The couple helped form Girls Softball League, and they worked long hours at the Cherry Blossom Festival, which aided community, civic, and youth groups. Jack was active in the West Pitten's Lion Club and was club secretary for 2 years. For the first 18 months at their new address, their house was filled with kids and grocery shopping and mass and civic group meetings and long hours of work. Janet worked hard on keeping her home and kids in order, and Jack at the plant where he was on his way to a middle management position. What more could a man want?
Go team.
Go team. So those who knew them at the time in this 18-month period say that they'd rarely known happier couples. Yeah. They truly were just living the fucking dream.
Yeah? I mean, good for them.
So, yeah. So on the other side of the duplex, in January 1974, Mary purchased a new red carpet. And when the workers from the rug company laid it out in the living room, they discovered that the rug contained a large, round grease stain.
Methinks decomp.
Yes. So that night, John and Mary used a cleaning solution on the rug and the stain came completely out. However, 2 days later, they came downstairs for breakfast and discovered that the stain had reappeared.
Here's my thing. Why would you buy and install a rug? At that point, I'd be like, take it back, return it. Why?
But instead of doing anything about it, they cleaned it again, only for it to reappear again
because
a few days later.
Duh.
Yes. So, but they weren't done. This process repeated a few times before they ultimately decided to take the rug to the dump and buy a new one. Because obviously.
Right.
So once they got the new rug in, the problem seemed to go away. There was no more stains. You know? Everything's good. Everything's fine.
Yes.
So shortly thereafter, back on Jack and Janet's side of the duplex, Jack was sitting watching a Western movie after work when, without any warning, the TV set burst into flames.
That's a bad day.
Yeah, that is a bad day.
Oh, man. I literally don't even know what would cross my mind at that point. Probably just, fuck. That's crazy,
panic.
Though. Yeah, panic.
So part of it melted before Jack could get the fire out.
Yeah.
The TV fire was followed by many other inexplicable fires around the house. A new electric stove caught fire shortly after it was purchased. The wiring in Jack's brand new car similarly cracked into flame only days after he bought it.
Oof.
And then, during a massive renovation that both families did on the duplex during 1974, John, who was an experienced welder, soldered the wire pipe joints in copper tubing to make them stronger, whatever people do. So, however, when Jack turned on the water, all of the joints leaked. John then soldered the pipes a second time, and they inexplicably all leaked again. This mysterious occurrence was followed by other minor but irritating problems. Repair jobs that should normally have taken 10 minutes suddenly became major projects that took hours. Plumbing problems were constant. One drain pipe that both John and Jack worked on had to be repaired 5 times before it finally became usable. Jack and Janet took special pride in how they'd remodeled their bathroom. Among other things, they installed a new sink and bathtub, and the next morning, after they had just finished the remodel, they woke up to find the porcelain sink and tub scratched beyond repair, chips of it knocked out. They later described it as, the sight was ugly and disturbing, as if the talons of some frenzied beast had clawed at the porcelain.
Jesus.
So the weirdest part of all of this was that the scratching continued. Several times Jack painted woodwork and trim near the ceiling, only to find claw marks across it the following morning. Their daughter Dawn, who I think was their oldest, was an athletic and intelligent kid who was not known to over-exaggerate, so when she said something was wrong, her parents took it very seriously. During 1975, several times Dawn ran into her parents' bedroom screaming that she'd just seen people floating around her room. Each time, Jack would go into her room and investigate, but was unable to find anything. By 1977, the Smurls were aware that their house was spooked in some way. For example, when no one was in the bathroom, the toilet would start flushing on its own, radios turned on blaring even though they weren't plugged in. Jack heard footsteps upstairs and drawers opening and closing in 2 of the bedrooms. He was home alone at the time. Also in 1977, Janet gave birth to twin girls, Shannon and Karen, which I'm sure just like added to the chaos of everything that was happening.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So over the next 4 years, the strange event continued. In the early morning hours, Jack and Janet heard lawn chairs creaking on their front porch as if people were rocking in them. After hearing the creaking 3 times, they went downstairs to investigate, but found the chairs empty but moving as if invisible inhabitants were sitting in them. One night, Jack was laying in bed when he felt a gentle caress on his shoulders. He assumed that his wife was being romantic, but when he turned to her, he found her asleep.
Yikes. That is so freaky.
And disappointing.
Yeah.
For most of 1983, the household smelt sourly of some foul but inexplicable odor. At first, the girls joked that it was Jack's smelly feet.
Yeah. Well,
Which, you're like, ew, your feet smell bad,
Dad. Buy new socks. Ew.
But no matter how much the family searched, they could neither find the odor's source nor get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Jack later recalled that the odor first appeared during a time when he was kneeling before his bed saying the rosary.
Well,
so frustrated at this point, Janet contacted the Department of Mines to see if some of the strange things happening in the house might be a result of the process known as subsidence. The person at the mines told her to check their foundation for evidence of cracks or crumbling, but none was found. John and Mary, on the other side of the duplex, claimed to hear loud, obscene language emanating from Jack and Janet's side, even when they were not arguing. The house often became extremely cold, and on one occasion, an icy chill swept through the home. 2 days after this incident, a strange black human-shaped figure, approximately 5 feet 9 inches tall with no facial features, allegedly materialized in Janet's kitchen. This apparition later appeared in Mary's kitchen as well, and the violence and frequency of the paranormal events continued to intensify. Desperate for help, the family brought in demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens announced that the house was haunted by 3 minor spirits and a powerful evil demon. They attempted to persuade the demon to leave by playing holy music and praying, but these efforts only seemed to provoke the entity further. The alleged demon reacted by shaking mirrors, dressers, and drawers. The Smurl family reported several disturbing and violent incidences. Jack alleged that he was assaulted by a scale-covered entity with a young girl's body and an old woman's head, which is just the scariest thing I've ever fucking heard of.
No, thank you. No. That, yeah.
Do not like
horrific.
that.
No.
Janet also claimed that she was assaulted by a shadowy humanoid figure described as an incubus while Jack was kept asleep. She described being completely paralyzed and unable to struggle against her unseen attacker. These attacks were not isolated, and the family dog was thrown into a wall. One of their daughters was pushed down a flight of stairs. The Smurls sought further help from the Catholic Church, specifically Father Robert McKenna, who conducted 2 exorcisms in Latin and more than 50 Catholic masses. However, these rituals allegedly infuriated the demon further. The entity was said to follow the family on vacation and harass Jack at work. demonstrating its ability to pursue them beyond their home. In an attempt to seek wider help and public understanding, the Smurls appeared on the Philadelphia talk show called People Are Talking, hosted by Richard Bay in August 1986. However, this public exposure seemed to provoke the demon even more. Following the television appearance, the demon allegedly reacted by assaulting Jack and appearing to him as half-man, half-pig creature. Janet was levitated and hurled against a wall, and a human hand rose up through the mattress to grab her by the back of the neck. Which,
I've had some bad
horrific.
nightmares. That's worse. Significantly.
Yes. One of the most perplexing aspects of the haunting is why the family did not move out of the house despite the violent and distressing attacks.
Literally.
But according to Jack and Janet, the demon could apparently follow them anywhere. This was demonstrated when they abandoned the house for a week and were intensely harassed at a campground where they were staying. The demon's ability to pursue them made relocation seem futile. The story gained significant media attention, attracting both believers and skeptics. Some suggested that the strange noises could be attributed to abandoned mine voids in the area, settling and creating unusual sounds. Others proposed that foul smells could be due to broken sewer pipe, and some of the incidents might be a result of pranks or delusions. Despite these skeptical views, the Smurls found support in Ed and Lorraine Warren and another medium, Mary Alice Rinkman, who examined the house and corroborated the Warrens' findings of multiple spirits. Mary Alice identified one spirit as a confused old woman named Abigail and another as a dark mustache man named Patrick, who had murdered his wife and her lover and then been hanged by a mob. The Smurl family haunting seemed to come to an end in 1989 when a church-sanctioned exorcism was reportedly successful in expelling the demon. However, the family did eventually move from the house, though the film The Haunted suggests that the spirit followed them until the exorcism was performed. In the years following the alleged haunting, the house on Chase Street continued to attract attention. In the early 2000s, a tenant named Richard Lloyd was found dead from an apparent drug overdose in the house. Jack Smurl passed away in June 2017 due to diabetes-related complications, bringing a somber end to a chapter marked by extraordinary and terrifying claims. And that is the end.
Jesus. That was a lot. Whoa.
And, I feel like it didn't even really end there. I also saw an article that apparently a couple of years ago, one of the daughters also died in kind of a weird way. She apparently overdosed on some medication she was it was an accidental overdose from some medication she was given post-surgery. So there's definitely some weird happenings still going on with the family.
Oh, definitely. Well, it was weird too because when you started talking about a lot of this weird stuff, I was like, is it carbon monoxide poisoning? Because I remember there's a different story, I can't remember if it was you or I, where somebody covered it and they were seeing hallucinations, but it was because they were having a monoxide leak and thought they were seeing demons in their home. But I don't know, especially the stuff going on years later, or the fact that it followed them to a campsite. I don't know, that's family curse kind of shit.
It is. And it all started with what I assume is an ugly red rug.
Sounds like it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. If only they were confident enough to return it back to the cellar, I guess. I don't know what to even say about that. That's crazy. Especially I feel at the point where porcelain is being clawed out of your tub, that should have been a pretty good warning indicator of something's not right, and it's probably not the foundation.
I feel like the foundation or whatever doesn't put claw marks in your paint.
Yeah, that's a weird direction they took, calling up the whatever and being like, oh, is something happening to the foundation making claw marks in our bathtub? And I'm like, huh?
No.
No! What?
Girly, no.
No! What are we talking about?
Absolutely not.
They've got like a year-long pass to Delululand.
Truly. But that's my tale for you today. So we will do some more Ed and Lorraine cases moving forward. I'll kind of sprinkle them in here and there.
Oh, yes.
But if there's any specific ones you guys want, feel free to send us an email.
For sure. And if you would like to do that, you can send it to our email, which is wheelofcrime@gmail.com. We also have our website, which is www.wheelofcrime.com if you want to check us out on there. We have our Patreon, which is Wheel of Crime at Patreon. We have our social media, which is Wheel of Crime on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. We also are available to leave reviews on if you would like to leave a review for the podcast. If you've listened to today's episode and you're like, hot diggity dog do, I have a story for you about claw marks in my bathtub, you can send it in to
We hope not.
Hopefully not, but if you did, then you can send it into our listener stories forum. It is up on all of our social media and potentially get a feature on our next listener episode.
Yes, that's it. That's all. And we'll see you next week for another new episode. Okay, bye.
Bye.